Hello and welcome to another episode of Between the Studs. I am your host, Daniel.
I'm Randy.
I'm Corey.
And today we are talking about LEGO Masters. That's right, LEGO Masters USA, or sorry, LEGO Masters North America? What is it that they call it?
North America.
North America?
Yeah, because the Canadians are involved. Yeah. LEGO Masters North America is back for Season 5, long awaited. We had a long hiatus after
2 years.
Season 4. It seemed like the show was even canceled there for a
Yeah,
little
we
bit.
were
but-
worried.
I was
Yeah.
a little scared.
Yeah. Anyway, it's back.
Okay. It's back.
It's back.
To watch it,
Season 5, Episode 1 did premiere earlier this week, and we are going to be doing an episode breakdown, as we usually do here on Atlanta Brick Co. TV, talking about all of the different teams and their builds and what we thought about them, and kind of the direction of the show in general. So without further ado, what's everyone's first impressions here now that Season 5 is back, about the challenge, the contestants, anything like that?
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh,
go ahead,
no,
Corey.
Star Wars, the planet's blowing up?
Yeah.
I was like, all right, this is cool. Starting the season off on the right foot. Nothing like lame happened. I really liked the planets exploding.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's cool.
Star Wars, I think, was a good episode theme for an episode. The licensed ones are definitely always great. Having the folks in costume there was really cool.
Yeah.
Blowing up the planets, of course. Which I wondered when they got their planets to build on. I don't think those are the same ones they blew up. The other ones still had like junk all over them and probably like black powder residue and. Yeah.
Anytime you put Lego all over the floor, it's great.
There was probably a little switcheroo there.
They learned the lesson from the volcano with the lava on the pieces.
The sticky lava goo. Yeah. How about you, Randy? Did you enjoy seeing all the Star Wars characters?
I did. I was shocked that was like the first episode because I knew it was going to be in here, but I didn't think it would be the first one. So
it was a good.
It was
kicker
good.
to
It was
get
a
people
good
back
one.
in.
I was excited for the theme.
All right, well, let's talk about the teams. So in the order that they were introduced or talked on the show about the builds that they were building, first up was Ben and Michael. They are the brothers who built the BM225 Droid Factory.
Yeah.
So what did y'all think about this one?
Well, I guess we're just starting the right
Here's
off.
your spoiler. Here's your spoiler warning. The winners of the episode.
It was my favorite. When I saw that one, I was like, man, if this doesn't win, I'm gonna be upset. It was really cool. All the moving parts, the droid factory mechanisms. I was kind of thinking Geonosis a little bit, but they did a good job making their own planet. So.
For sure. How about you, Randy? Anything that stood out to you about their build?
The mechanics of it was just it was top notch for sure.
The way the arms were going up and down.
The droids going around. Yeah, it was just and it really stood out very quickly.
Yeah. I think they did a great job kind of proving their mettle there in episode 1. Ben in particular, I have a personal connection with. I'm good friends with Ben. He's one of the builders on the new Hashima project, actually.
Nice.
So
That's
I've met him several times. So
I didn't know that. That's
between
cool.
that and them being the team to beat here in episode 1, I think they're going to be my favorite to root for this season. Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, outstanding build from Ben and Michael in episode 1 there. Followed up by Anne and Luke, the mother and son combo there, who built the sweet spot of the galaxy, which was the gingerbread house-style planet. How'd y'all feel about this one?
I think Jamie and Amy, they usually hit the nail on the head. I really liked the way the layout looked, but the centerpiece could have been a little bit bigger. But the detailing on it, it looked like a great gingerbread house.
The scaling was off to me with the ginger. I don't know. It just it didn't feel out like an outer space kind of thing. I don't know. It just it didn't give me that. Like, I know they gave feedback to one of the other teams that was doing the dog park kind of thing. They gave that feedback, and I didn't feel like that one did either. It just didn't give me that. I don't know.
It was an interesting concept, and I was a little worried about theirs from the get-go, but I think their execution more than made up for it. He's clearly a very talented builder there, both of them on that team. This is another one I've actually met in person. Luke, I think was at one of the conventions. It might have been Brickworld Chicago a couple years ago with like a huge roller coaster. It was probably on Beyond the Brick or something. It was like a big yellow roller coaster. It was like
the really tall
like
one?
6 or 8 feet tall, a huge roller coaster.
He had it in Atlanta.
Did he have it in Atlanta?
Yeah.
Okay, because I remember meeting him, and I think I talked to his mom. I talked to his mom as well.
Yeah,
Anne, who's also on the show. So I believe I've met both of them.
He looked familiar. I was like, no, I've never met him. He just looks like somebody I know. No, that was him. That's cool.
That's the one with the big roller coaster. But anyway, so Luke there was the one who built the large roller coaster. And I think several of us have seen it at a few different conventions. So another one that we have a personal connection with. Next up was Sage and Ian, another set of siblings. They built the Puppy Planet, which was the fire hydrant with the dog and the tongue that was panting.
That was one of the top 2, correct?
They were in the top two after previously getting some harsh criticism there during the check-in.
That's what I was saying, because it was not so great, and they did listen, which is what a lot of I think teams make the mistake of not listening to the judges when they give you a critique. Do what they're telling you. They're trying to help you out.
Yeah,
I did like the dog. Yeah, the dog looked cool, but
and the squirrel with the Sith lightsaber and
the giant squirrel.
They did a good job pivoting. It's been a little while since we've done one of these Lego Masters review episodes, but one of the themes that comes up time and time again is listening and pivoting to what the judges tell you, and they knocked it out of the park. And the judges rewarded them for doing that.
It's easy. You get so focused with a time constraint, you get blinders on, and you just think about your idea, and you kind of close off everyone else's ideas.
Well, and that was one of the interesting things with this episode. I don't know if you're going to talk about it later, is that how they lost... at a certain point they cut off the timer, so they didn't know
that was
when
their
time was up,
episode.
which is that would drive me up the wall. I can't even imagine. So that was an interesting twist.
Yeah, so they said in this episode, Will Arnett said that there's going to be lots more twists this season, and this was definitely an interesting one right out of the gate. The fact that it was the 2 hour mark
2 hours it clocked
out of a 10-hour total. They cut the clock. So I don't know if in the studio in the episode there was still like a screen and it was like kind of glitching, and every now and then you would still see the time. So I don't know if in the studio, like if they actually could watch, or if it was or if it was just a black screen and they digitally added that back in later. I don't know. That's true. They may have truly had no way to know, and then he did warn him at the 1 minute mark
or something. It was really
so it wasn't, because I was expecting it to be like, you have to have your build done and like hanging over there, and if you go overtime or you're under time, like you're screwed. Yeah. So it ended up working out. It's an interesting twist, nonetheless. I'm glad they did not get eliminated. This is going to be another team to watch, to keep a close eye on. Ian is on Instagram as Bricktacular Builds. He has a very high-profile Lego account here. He's done some really nice stuff. He did a Jumanji board that I know lots of people have seen, as well as some really great character building and kind of real life object sculpting.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Definitely another very talented builder to watch. All right. Next up was Nick and Kindle, another set of siblings. They built the Harmonaria karaoke planet. They did sadly end up getting eliminated on the first episode, which is always tough, but I'm glad that Lego Masters is not a show where they don't eliminate somebody in the first episode.
That's kind of the point of it. As sad as it is, and I know like they all get to know each other very quickly, but that's kind of the point of the show.
Well, the thing is, in later episodes, they might have been a second place or a first place, but I guess, just kind of...
You never know. They don't get too much of a chance to prove their mettle, but... They had a really good concept, I think. They had a good storytelling element with the karaoke bar. It was a good personal story to them. I think where they suffered a little bit was just execution and actually putting bricks down. I think it was Kindle that described her brother Nick as being a tinkerer. And I think that's good sometimes for like really high quality polished Lego building, but not necessarily the right.
That's how you are when you have 50 to 100 hours in months
exactly.
to prepare something.
It's a very different style of building though, for Lego
Masters. You just got to put it down like you said.
Get some bricks on the table. So sad to see them go, but I think they had a good concept for sure. All right, next up was Anthony and Joe, the gym coach / band director.
Yes.
This is a hilarious dynamic. I think the first introduction to them was Joe, the band director, being ecstatic when they announced the Star Wars theming.
Oh my gosh.
Which they went back and played the clip later.
The slow-mo of his face.
So he's clearly the nerdy band director, and the PE teacher was maybe excited, but not quite as much engaged with that kind of pop culture stuff as Joe was. But a very good team. They built the Jedi Academy on planet Namu. They had very interesting different scenes going on there with like force training Jedi and building the lightsabers with like the little crystals and stuff. So that was kind of a cool inspiration. What did you all think about this one?
That was one of my more favorite ones, other than the top two, because it had a Star Wars theme to it.
For sure.
Some of the other planets, it was kind of just something that was on a Star Wars planet, but it wasn't a Star Wars planet. So.
Yeah, I think they were challenged with the different interpretations of what the challenge was, because they were telling them to incorporate something personal to themselves, but also make it Star Warsy, and that was where I think a lot of teams kind of ran into trouble there. But yeah, I think this was a good one overall.
That one would have been my second place.
Would it?
Honestly,
yeah.
Because I think it did a good job of being Star Wars-y, but still having a little bit of them in it. But it felt the most Star Wars to me, so I enjoyed that.
Absolutely. Next up was John and Justin, the pair of friends that built the planet J2DA, which was the one with the two different skyscrapers kind of representing R2-D2 and C-3PO.
That was super cool. The micros, the micro view of it. I really liked that.
Yeah, it was very clever. It was kind of almost like a forced perspective thing, I guess, where you have the micro scale in the background, but then you have like little scenes with minifigures and things taking place up front. What'd you think about this one, Randy?
It again didn't have that like outer spacey feel. It just felt like a scene that could be anywhere.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just didn't.
I was thinking of Bespin. You know Bespin with the little buildings on it.
Yeah.
On the planet.
Okay.
That's where my mind went. So maybe
I could see that.
That helped connect the dots for me.
There you go.
I think a lot of teams were kind of playing it safe for the first challenge. Just get in the water, dive in head first, and just kind of be middle of the pack. There was not really a lot of pushing the boundaries or wow factor going on, except for maybe from Ben and Michael, who wanted to make a big splash here in episode 1. But yeah, I think theirs turned out great. I was equally impressed. They were the ones that were having kind of the balancing issues because they had the two heavy buildings on the back, and we're trying to balance it out just with like minifigures and scenes on the front. But it seemed to work out for them.
That one was lean, and
yeah.
C-3PO had a little lean to it. I was nervous.
Yeah, was that the one? What was the one where they put the jet engine on the side that actually was hanging crooked to illustrate that it was balancing it out? That might have been theirs. I can't remember. But anyway, that was John and Justin. Next up, we had Corey and Rebecca. Not this Corey, different Corey. This is kind of where we get into the territory of the teams that they really didn't even like go talk to at all.
It was
sad.
over.
It goes so fast that first hour.
The whole episode, I think, was like less than 40 minutes. I mean, plus commercials and stuff. But it was really pretty short, which is interesting because they have reduced the number of teams slightly. So let's see, in season 1 we only had 10 teams, and then it jumped up to 12 teams for seasons 2. Season 3 was 12, but then they added Ethan and Dom. Season 4 was 12 again, and then this year they're back down to 11, which is kind of an interesting. So I guess they decided to pare it down a little bit and kind of split the difference. But anyway, Corey and Rebecca built the planet Beautiful, which was, another pretty fine build. We didn't really get to see much of it until the very end, but I think they did a fine job. They had this sort of rock archway thing and like the rock climbing kind of segment. So I think it was good storytelling for them personally, as well as making it kind of an interesting alien planet. The next one up was the other team in the bottom two. It was Marcella and Krista, and they built the planet Marseta, which was kind of similar to Anthony and Joe's. It was just lots of like force ability and like lightsaber building and like all the different. It reminded me of like the experiences that you can do when you go to Galaxy's Edge.
Disney. Kind of gave that vibe.
It did,
yeah. And I think the other thing is comparison is the thief of joy in a way. So doing something similar to Anthony and Joe, if they were the less good execution of that, they're gonna be compared a lot. I think it just needed a big kind of focal point or centerpiece was how Jamie put it. It needed a big Jedi temple wall or something at the background, or like a big obelisk or something.
Spaceship flying in the sky above it.
It just needed, it needed the wow factor.
Hopefully they take that feedback to heart. They'll get another chance to prove themselves next week. All right, next up was Alex and Tone. They built the Intergalactic Skate Park. So again, we didn't really get an interview with them, but we kind of had to infer that their interests were skateboarding and DJing, I think was what they were doing in the scene.
I noticed how much animation they added to show you the skate park and how cool the planet was.
Yes.
And then the next contestant's planet. Oh, here it is. All right, next contestant's planet. I was like, whoa.
Wait a second.
Where's the balancing between the teams here? So.
Yeah. These last few teams, which were the ones that I noticed they didn't talk to, several of them did get the stop motion treatment, basically, where they only ever give that to a few teams per episode, where they do a whole like animation thing with their build afterwards, which is really cool.
The stop motion of this one was great.
Yeah.
It was so fun.
Yeah.
It looked like animation.
You're right. It was really fun to watch.
That's cool.
No, they do that with some of the build after the episode's over. Pending that it's not one where the build gets destroyed, they'll save those builds aside and they send them to somebody else who who does the stop motion animation.
That's cool.
So next up was team Nikki and Britain, and they built the planet Verdura Nova, which is the one that had lots of like plant foliage. They had some
waterfall on the lake.
There's a waterfall. Okay. There was some like coral bricks, lots of kind of vibrant like pinks and purple hues, which was really cool. It was a nice kind of more natural landscape compared to what a lot of the other people built, which is something that Star Wars is known for.
Yeah.
Lots of very kind of natural planets. So I think it worked well enough for their purposes. I think the judges' critique was that it didn't have a lot of substance to it. So that's something, again, that they'll have to...
Foliage takes a while to build, as you know.
It does.
Trees take time. But,
It gave that kind of Avatar kind of feel,
but...
Yeah, not quite as vibrant. I don't know. It definitely... And then had the brown tree in the middle.
Big tree in the middle,
I don't know. It definitely could have been more.
Yeah, I think so. That's something they'll have to work on moving forward. But I think they did a good job for episode 1.
Yeah.
And then our final team was Maya and Jamie, who built the Intergalactic Holistic Hospital.
That was cool.
Which again was one they didn't spend a lot of time on, but I think their technical ability shone through.
I like
some
that
really
one
nice
more than a lot.
Little builds. There was like a little syringe on the side of the building that was a nice build, a big H for the hospital. They had lots of storytelling aspects.
The
they
yoga.
Had like the yoga, exactly. But I think while they were undersold in episode 1, I think they may be another one to keep an eye on. I think their building technique did shine through in this one, even though the show did not cover it for a very long period.
It had a lot of volume and detail.
Yes.
Which was rare. Only like 4 of them had volume and detail.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
Yeah. And I think a lot of them chose to go about it with the right method, with building something large in the center to cover up most of that cable.
Yeah.
Most of them had a large building or like the tree trunk or something to
Yeah.
conceal the cable so that you're not looking at that big kind of ugly attachment point. I think there were only a few groups that didn't really do anything with it, and it kind of stood out in the end. But that is all of our teams here in episode 1. Do y'all have any other first impressions about these teams, who you're going to be rooting for, who you like, or may need some room for improvement?
I don't want to annoy him, but the Bicep Brothers is...
The Bicep Brothers.
Okay, it's only episode 1. I'm still learning everybody's names. I will learn their names, but I just think theirs went really above and beyond a lot of the other ones. Although I'm sorry, what was the name of the last team? I'm still learning
Maya
names.
and Jamie.
Maya and Jamie. I do think they could definitely get some good builds.
Yeah.
I think we could get some stuff out of them.
I remember at the beginning of season 4, seeing Chris and Robert. Chris and Robert, you had that feeling in your stomach, like, oh yeah, they're gonna do well. That's the feeling with the brothers, the Bicep Brothers.
Yeah.
I feel like they're gonna be top 3.
I certainly hope so. I would love to see them in the finale. I think that'd be fantastic. Lego Masters does, of course, have a way of shoehorning these teams into one of their only defining characteristics.
Yes, right.
So I'm sure Ben was not super pleased that the whole mantra of their team was about his brother's biceps.
Yeah, that's right.
I guess that's what you get when you go on national television.
You know what? You're memorable, though. You're a memorable team,
That's
so
right.
it's okay.
That's right. They try and make them memorable so you can feel like you get to know the teams in a relatively short period of time. The twist, I think, was very interesting, as we already talked about. I'm intrigued to see what other twists they come up with
I'm excited.
this season. Hopefully ones that don't too drastically affect the building process, because I think those are things that we don't necessarily love to see. But how do y'all feel about the twists going on this season?
It was pretty innocent. I mean, there's nothing that directly affected their ability to build Lego. So as long as it stays on that team, I'm all here for it.
Will Arnett had that giant book. And I was like, right when it started, that said Twist, like Lego Masters Twist.
Big 3-ring binder.
Yeah.
So,
I hope they have some good stuff.
We will see what else is in there. Like, I think you put it very good. Nothing that affects the way that they actually build the Lego.
In an unfair way, yeah.
Right. As far as upcoming episodes, we saw a little bit of a glimpse at the end, as we have already seen from the trailer. So I'm going to list a few that I at least picked out. I saw Wicked.
Yes.
I saw Batman. They'll be doing episodes on both of those.
Excited to see some Marvel content.
Yes.
It's going to be really good.
There was one with like a big masquerade mask, and it looked like they were making like dresses or masks, or it could be like a whole costume kind of challenge. Could be very interesting. There was one with a waterfall. It looked like they were like pushing the boats off the end of a waterfall. And then it looked like there was another kind of real life sculpting challenge. So there was one where Will Arnett like drops a speaker, and there was a whole room of objects behind him, kind of like they did in season 4. So that would be another one that I'm very excited for. One I think that probably Sage and Ian would excel with, like I was talking about earlier. Spectacular builds. He's built a lot of real world objects, so they could be a potential winner for that episode. But what all are you looking forward to most out of the episodes that we've seen for upcoming ones?
I think the masquerade for me. I like the wearable art. I like it when they did the bags and different things and the hats and all that. I think that's very interesting, especially out of Lego.
Absolutely. That seems to be one that's coming up pretty much every season now, and it's becoming increasingly popular at conventions. You see people with mannequins that they're displaying Lego clothes, or they'll wear them to the conventions themselves. Very interesting. How about you, Corey? What are you looking forward to?
I don't want to piggyback, but the same thing.
Same thing, masquerade.
You're not building an object, you're building something real world use. And going back to season 2, the competition where I think it was the bridge, or they had to hang it off a cliff, and the furthest one got. The goal wasn't the Lego; it was something you're building structurally.
There's a much more technical challenge, whereas this is a much more aesthetic based challenge.
Exactly, and so the fashion, it's more technical. It can be very challenging to do that. So
I guess there's kind of 3 buckets. There's highly technical ones, highly aesthetic ones, and then just kind of, I guess, volumetric ones where you just need to build something really
giant,
big and sculptural and put a lot of bricks down.
Tower.
Right,
Yeah, exactly. So it'll be interesting to see. We didn't really...
Wait, what about you, Daniel? Which one are you looking forward to?
I like the real-life recreation ones. I think that's the one I would look forward to most. I think that's one that I would be pretty successful at if I ever did it. But I think that's one I'll look forward to. They didn't really give us specifics on what's coming next week. It was just seemed like a kind of generic
overview,
season overview.
Well,
so
I
don't
like
know.
that. I like that they're not spoiling half the next episode. A lot of shows do that.
So that's true. Then we can share in the excitement with the competitors themselves when they come through that big door. The doors open, and the lights come down, and they're all very excited to be there. So, anything else y'all want to mention about this season 1?
Shout out to Jamie and Amy's wardrobe, because they looked amazing last night. Okay, just saying, when you watch it, you'll know. They look great. Amy
and
that
you know,
silver.
Darth Vader and the Stormtroopers outfits.
Oh yeah,
them too.
too.
They're pretty good.
Will Arnett's mustache deserves a shout out, don't you think?
Will Arnett's mustache, there were several comments to that. That is a conversation topic. How do you feel about the mustache there, Corey? What do you
I'm not a big fan of mustache.
I'm
excited for the Batman episode, though, with Jamie.
And with Will Arnett.
I know he's going to be pretty funny in that episode. So
undoubtedly. But anyway, y'all let us know down in your comments, what were your impressions of season 1? Did you all have any personal connections with any of the contestants or the teammates on there? How did you all think about this challenge? What would you have built if you were on this episode of LEGO Masters? Let us know all that good stuff down in the comments. We love to see the discussion that gets sparked. If you were on this episode of LEGO Masters and you're watching this now, we know we have had some contestants that have been viewers in the past, so definitely drop a comment there. Let us know that you're watching down below. But otherwise, we appreciate you all for joining. Thank you, Randy, and thank you, Corey, for joining me today to talk about it. But otherwise, we will see you all next week to talk about episode 2. Bye-bye, everybody.
See ya.